Donald, don't we have some coming attractions to see? Thank you. Sorry, folks. Roll 'em.
Now I'm the king of the swingers, oh, the jungle VIP. I've reached the top and had to stop, and that's what's bothering me. I want to be a man.
Look at this autograph. Hello and welcome. You're listening to Mouse Madness, a podcast dedicated to bracketing all things Disney. I'm Chris Bowersox.
And I'm Kyle Skinner.
And we are your hosts for Mouse Madness. Each episode will focus on a single Disney topic, generate a bracket, and debate our way through the madness to figure out who or what is truly the best. Follow us and play along on Twitter at Mouse Madness Pod, or send us an email at mousemadnesspodcast@gmail.com.
Chris, we are back. We are out of spooky season. And you know what? We're still rocking hard with Jerry's Gang over on Patreon. You and I recorded in the same location for the first time in the history of this podcast, just for Jerry's Gang. We haven't quite figured out how we're going to make it work for the main show, but we promise eventually we will be in the same space to do so. It was really fun to record with you across the table as opposed to on screen. So as we're entering this new season of giving here in November, part of Jerry's Gang's perks is that we give them the chance to give us bracket topics. So at the end of November, Jerry's Gang has already chosen and already knows what we're going to be doing. So this is your call to action, everybody. This is your call to action to come join us at Jerry's Gang, patreon.com/Mouse Madness. Get in on the fun. Chris is putting together a trivia night coming up very, very soon for Jerry's Gang. So you're going to want to be there for that. $5 a month. It helps support the show and we appreciate it. But that bracket is not this one. This bracket is all about something that the Disney parks and their characters give to us. We're talking about the best Disney parks autographs bracket. Nothing like a visual bracket for an audio only show. So I hope everyone's really ready to describe what these autographs look like. And here to help us and join us on this journey is Miss Magic Key herself. It is returning guest host Taylor. Taylor, welcome back to Mouse Madness.
Hi, yes. I'm officially a key holder as of last time I saw you guys or listened to you guys. But yeah, it's super fun.
Awesome. Congratulations on that. And now you can go ride Storybook Canal boats over and over.
I actually did. I was like, oh.
Incredible. It was a great experience. And I'm sure it was the best attraction that you went on.
You're lying.
Like all day. So Taylor, this topic of like character meet and greets, it's one that we talk about a lot on this podcast. It's like it seems like you're someone who either loves it or hates it. Kyle is very much I'm out. I don't want to talk to a character. I don't want to be grilled. I don't want to be put on the spot. Leave me out of it. I really enjoy the character meet and greet. I like playing along. I like getting my picture taken. So are you a fan of the character meet and greet?
No. So I feel like we've already discussed this, but if I had to go to Disneyland with one of you guys, I really feel like me and Kyle, we would gel our itinerary. But Chris, I'd probably have to ditch you because I just don't know what to do when I meet the characters. I met Miguel last time I went to Disneyland before pandemic. And is this
Puppet Miguel? Is this
Puppet
the
Miguel.
marionette Miguel?
Yeah. And I just didn't know what to do. I was like,
oh no.
Fair. Very fair. So to help us get through talking about all of these awkward character interactions, we need some spoonful of sugar. So a little liquid courage. Kyle, what's your spoonful of sugar today?
I have something left over from spooky season, which is very, very exciting. I have a beer that is called Sister Wednesday, and it's from Laughing Monk Brewing. And the Laughing Monk Brewing Company logo is usually this bald-headed man that is laughing, but this time he has the Wednesday Addams braids
Nice.
on Sister Wednesday.
Oh god.
And the background of that is a spider web. So it may be November, but it's still spooky season in my heart. I have 2 more of these to get through. So a little leftover action for this time around. I don't have a clever name for it because I like the name Sister Wednesday as a nod to the Addams family. Chris, what do you have?
So, Bay Area boy had his first Bay Area bomb cyclone
Yes,
this week.
sure did.
And it was intense. We had a tree fall down outside of our balcony area. We were without power for 19 hours. It just came back on, and I was really concerned about like my spoonful of sugar. Like,
Right.
More, even
Oh,
more
boy.
so than like, is my laptop gonna have enough battery to survive this recording session? I was like, is the alcohol gonna be cold?
Of course.
Because of course, like you're not supposed to open your fridge during a power outage because it lets out all the cold. So
Mhm.
I'm like, I gotta at least wait until Mouse Madness to open my fridge, because I need to grab a beer. I went to Bevmo and I stocked up on my California beer since I got here. So I got a Cool Kids Juicy IPA.
Ooh.
It's from Cali Craft, and it is brewed right here in Walnut Creek, and it's got a real cool like 80s kind of pastiche artwork, and I have not tried it yet. So this is my first taste. Straying away from this sour beer. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see
I'm
what
interested
happens.
in your like juicy IPA take because I've had this one before.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's way like it is a juicy IPA. Like there's some sweetness to that one.
Yeah, so people throw around juicy, I think, a little bit liberally these days, and it's like that's definitely like not super juicy, but that is a juicy, very smooth, easy to drink IPA. Reminds me of a little New England style IPA.
Oh, there you
a little
go.
Bit.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan. Taylor, what have you got? Do you have a spoonful of sugar? Are you going solo?
I am drinking at Trader Joe's. This is something new I tried, and it is the coconut water with yuzu. What's yuzu? It's a fruit, right?
Yuzu.
But yes, YUZU. It's like this sparkling coconut watery beverage. It's so good. And I just tried it for the first time this past week.
Huh.
And it's like heaven.
It sounds like a yuzu is an East Asian lemon of sorts.
Lemon.
It's
Okay. It's not that tart. It's very smooth. I think the coconut water.
Huh.
It's really good.
Well, now I'm very interested in tasting what a yuzu-based drink is.
I feel like that would be the perfect mixer if you wanted to make a drink, but I just drink it out of the can.
We respect it. We
It's
respect
really
the
good.
ease of use,
Mhm.
for sure. All right, we've got our drinks in hand, and that's a good thing because coming up next is the pull of the pod. We are trying to find a very specific card out of these decks of 50th anniversary Disneyland Upper Deck cards. And we are looking for Tom Morrow, who was an animatronic figure in Rocket Jets to the Moon, whatever, Interventions. I don't know anymore. I just really want to start getting into this pack because, as I said on the most recent episode, we only have 8 packs left, and we've gone through so many cards. If you're part of Jerry's gang and you watch the videos, I have a stack of cards that I'm holding up to the camera right now, and this isn't even all of them, and they're just here. And I really hope that this one is it. So let's get into it. The first one we've definitely gotten before. We're back to being discouraged right off the top here. It is Mickey and Minnie 50th Celebration. So went over this before. It's just the pair of them in their 50th anniversary clothes, which actually fits for this one because if you went to get an autograph in 2005, they were probably wearing these outfits. So
Classy. Very
There's that.
classy.
next one is a debut attraction. It is 1967's People Mover, which I also believe that we've gotten before. But, you know, I will always love a
You'll
moment.
love to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I always love a moment to see the People Mover, to talk about the People Mover, since that is a very much a missed attraction in Tomorrowland. Next one, definitely have gotten it before, and it is not Tomorrow. 1955 debut attraction of the Mad Tea Party. The original placement of it behind the carousel on the big swirly board that it spins on. really nice photo. I like this photo of it, but it is not Tom Morrow, so I don't like it that much. And the final card of this deck before the attraction poster is not Mr. Tom Morrow. It is 1961's debut attraction, Flying Saucers, which we also have gotten before. The black and white photo of people on the saucers over in Tomorrowland, basically where Space Mountain is currently, I believe. And our attraction poster of the pack is a classic one of a horrible ride. It is Tomorrowland's Autopia.
No, I went on it recently. It was really fun.
Explain.
Let's
dive into this a little bit.
What are
really
the ways?
Fun?
Name the ways it was fun.
We went in with really low expectations, me and my sister Morgan, and I let her drive. And she was a really good driver, which I was very impressed, because the last time I went on it, we were younger and we were, hitting all the
Mm-hmm.
and then so it was a smooth ride. There was a nice, cool, crisp, wind in our face. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed the experience. And we got the lime green car and we manifested that. Like, it was our intuition. We're like, if we don't get lime green, we're not going to do it. And then as we're at the front of the line, we see the lime green car pull up and we're like, let's go. Let's go.
Had it been any other color, you would have been like, all right, we're leaving the line. This is...
I know. I was like, I just waited 30 minutes for this, but I got to go.
That's great.
All right, well, then you're happy about this attraction card.
Yeah.
And, I like the art on this. It's the very simplistic kind of mid-century look to it. Very classic Disneyland poster, so I can appreciate it. But it's definitely not for me. And it wasn't Tom Morrow. So there's that. We'll be back on part 2 to see if we can find this elusive human being animatronic.
I wanted to potentially take over pack opening duties to kind of try and mix up the mojo a little bit. But we're at the point where I would feel bad at this point if I pulled him, because you've been going in on all these for 6 months now.
I'm gonna
feel
give
you need to do the honors.
I'm gonna give you the last pack. You're going to open the very last pack. If Tom Morrow hasn't been found already, you're going to get the very last pack. And I swear, if Tom Morrow is in that pack, I'm going to be so upset that I sat here, brought these cards with me on vacation one time to record. I did everything for this segment. And if you get it, I think I have to quit, honestly.
That's it. It's been nice.
We're bringing in Mandy or Tess to take my place.
Sure. All right, so let's move on. We've got a great bracket of 16 Disney Parks characters. And we're debating which one gives the best autograph. This is kind of an obscure idea, but some of our more obscure ideas are some of our most fun shows. So Who knows what we're going to get here. We compiled a few photos of some of these autographs that we'll throw in the show notes if you want to go through the slides. Shout out to charactercentral.net for providing pretty much all of the information for this podcast episode. They keep track of every character that's ever appeared in any way in any Disney park. They've listed where you can find them, how rare the appearance is, and they have a bunch of photos of different types of autographs that they might give out. So it was super cool to kind of peruse that giant database, and we put together some photos of the characters we're talking about.
Yeah, and also I've shouted out this page before, and I think it was when we did the character costume bracket. Everycharacter.com was another one that also provided the autograph as well as some information, and even tells you a little what some of their sayings are so that you can tell that to the character, which I would not do because I don't do this because I don't want to talk to them. But Taylor, to ease our anxieties, we could roll up to the park and say some of these pre-chosen lines to these characters. Maybe we should study up on this.
We'll run lines.
There you go. Perfect.
We'll rehearse it.
It's just interesting that there seems to be a whole character culture. Find character scavenger hunt culture that's a lot like pin trading. And I dabbled in pin trading, but it is just so expensive. I feel like I might be interested in getting into character meet and greets. They'll like the jackpot for this is run Disney events. Like if you run the half marathon or something, like they'll bring out Claude Frollo out there and just put him out there by Angel Stadium, and you're like, oh my god, you got to stop and take a picture with him.
Totally.
Definitely not great for your half marathon splits, but
no,
if you're trying to get some dope character photos or autographs, go for it.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, we narrowed it down to a field of 16 to debate, and to help us get there, we chose a demographic of people that made themselves known earlier this week. Kyle, what do you got to say about these people?
Yeah, so we sent the interns back into the parks, and thank goodness that they have the correct magic key, because Disney recently announced that they are going to up the prices of single day, of all day park tickets, as well as parking. And they raised parking from $25 to $30 per car. And so we asked the interns to go find people in the Esplanade who are complaining about the recent hike in parking price, which is warranted. They should be complaining about it. It's atrocious that it's $30 to park your car at the parking structure when there's not a tram running right now. You're parking at the parking structure and then walking to the parks. That's not $30 worth. So these complainers, who I would be one of them, helped us find 16 fantastic Disney Parks autographs. But of course, there are a few that did not make it into that. That is the Miss the Dance. Chris, what is a Miss the Dance for you?
So I have a few. I mean, it was really fun for me to go through all of these character signatures and see some of the cool different styles that characters might sign in. So I could go on like for days and talk about all of these different signature techniques. One of them for me is the Seven Dwarves. I think it's just cool to kind of make it your mission to maybe collect all 7 of the Seven Dwarves. Probably super difficult, but each one has their own signature that's unique to their character. Sleepy, kind of his Y kind of like tails off and starts getting like dotted as if he's falling asleep while he's signing the autograph. Dopey has a backwards E and a backwards Y in his signature. Grumpy's, I don't really get Grumpy's. It kind of looks like maybe like a stick carving.
He's like mad. He's like jagged, just like, fine, I'm gonna sign it.
Yeah, it would make more sense if Grumpy just wrote "f*** off" in your character book.
Whoa, language.
If you handed it to him, like that's what Grumpy would do, right? You'd be like, I hate this, don't want. We've also got, in this similar vein, we've got the Country Bears, which is like kind of a terrifying, gotta catch them all, but Shaker, the one who's making kind of a scared face, he like shakes his hand a little bit when he's signing his autograph, so it's very like squiggly. And last but not least, come on, we got to shout out the OG Disney autograph, Walt Disney himself.
Totally.
Who signed autographs in the parks all the time and notoriously would just hand out pre-signed copies of his own autograph to people to save some time. But he has a beautiful signature. He was the very first Disney animator. So it's a very cool autograph and one that I'm sure sells for a lot these days.
I'm sure.
Kyle, what about you?
I have one, and it's Mr. Incredible's signature. And I actually could go for any of the Incredible signatures, but I chose Mr. Incredible because it is so neatly written, which is very standard for like the Incredibles world. Like any sort of promo asset that we see of them is that like mid-century straight line kind of mosaic almost looking. And this invokes that a lot. It's Mr. and the R extends as one straight line across, and Incredible is written on that straight line, but the I extends out of that horizontal line to create the uppercase I. And it's neat, it's nice, but I think it missed the dance because it's impressive that the actor was able to do this in the Mr. Incredible mask. Part of like what I'm associating to like best parks autograph is like, is the work good? Does that autograph look good? Does it fit the character? And then what was the difficulty level of that autograph from that character? And so to see somebody like Mr. Incredible, who's in this full on like plastic head mask Frozone 2, and Frozo's head is like freaking huge. To be able to sign neatly like this, and it's just awesome. So I really like this autograph. I think it's missed the dance for me. Taylor, any autographs that have missed the dance for you?
Yes, I have 2. For me, I was looking at autographs, seeing which ones I felt like were true to the character, genuine. And I saw Moana's, and I was like, that is Moana's autograph, because that's like probably how I wrote my name when I was her age. And I love how the O is a squiggle.
Like the heart of Tafiti.
Exactly. And then also I was surprised Goofy's not on here. I think Goofy should have bumped someone off, maybe another dog. But Goofy's signature is authentic to who he is. And when you see it, you're like, yeah, Goofy would sign like that. And the F is backwards. It's just perfect. It's like a dad signature. And I'm sure his son was forging that on all his field trip documents.
I bet. Those are some good Miss the Dances. That's a solid crew there that I think I'd agree with you that should have probably made the dance. But we have 16 that actually did. And it is time to announce our round of 16, our bracket of 16, our big time bracket of best Disney parks autographs. Let's go ahead and cue that dramatic music. And let's get it going. Looking real squiggly at the number 1 seed is Mickey Mouse.
The pixie dust is mightier than the sword. Coming in at number 2, it's Tinkerbell.
A dynamic duo snags the spot at the 3 seed. It's Chip and Dale.
Bibbity bobbing into the 4 spot is Cinderella.
Signing autographs up where they walk at the 5 seed. It's Ariel.
You know what a big hat means. Big autograph. Coming in at number 6, it's the Mad Hatter.
He's on a boat. Sailing at the 7 seed is Donald Duck.
Coming in at number 8, You Know You Love Me, XOXO, Minnie Mouse.
He's got a snake in his boot at the 9 spot. It's Woody.
The most obnoxious child at Disneyland every day of the week. Flying into the 10 seed, it's Peter Pan.
He's back for a millionth consecutive bracket at the 11th seed. It's Dr. Facilier.
He's back, baby.
He's back.
Never left. Hide your autograph books, because she might just keep it. Coming in at number 12, it's Belle.
Slithering into the 13 seed is Jafar.
Breaking all the forced perspective rules is the number 14 seed, Stitch.
Odelaying his way at the 15 seed is Robin Hood.
It's gonna be the number 16 seed for you, dog. Rounding out the bracket is Pluto.
Taylor, 16 autographs. You had mentioned that you were not too fond of a few. You didn't tell us who those were, and I'm glad that you didn't. But are there any matchups that you're looking forward to?
There are a bunch.
Every matchup you're looking forward to.
Number 8 versus number 9. That one's
Always
going to be tight for me. I don't know. We'll see.
Always a good one.
Minnie Mouse versus Woody.
Yeah. It's going to be a good one. And it's actually very soon. We just have to get through this first one. So, Chris, let's get into it. Let's start talking about it. I'm going to let you lead off our discussion. It's number 1, Mickey Mouse versus number 16, Pluto.
All right. So let's start with the Mick.
Yeah.
Number 1, Mickey Mouse. I mean, this dude is the GOAT.
He's the leader of the club for you and me.
And, it's interesting that, like, for all of the Disney characters out there in the Disney universe, we got almost all of the Fab Five on here, right? Like a lot of these, sans Goofy, and I guess Daisy, she's kind of the like disposable Fab crew member. But
Slander.
Justice for Daisy.
It's just interesting to see,
Yeah.
Mick is perhaps the easiest autograph to obtain if you go by availability. Like he's
He's everywhere.
He's always somewhere. He's either at your house, at his own house, just waiting for you to wait in a 45-minute line.
You wake up, Mick's in your closet.
He's at your house too. Yeah, for sure. He be on Main Street a lot, chilling out front outside the Opera House, greeting people as they come into the park. He's in parades. Mm-hmm. He's there at all kinds of Disney special events. Like, getting the Mickey autograph is not difficult.
No.
And like we mentioned, this site, Character Central, they rank rarity of all of these autographs, and Mickey is like 5 out of 5 most common level of autograph, and it makes sense. So the site says you can meet Mickey at the Movie Barn in Toontown, at Disneyland, Main Street, and at California Adventure. He's found on Buena Vista Street in his little like paperboy outfit.
Yeah.
So he spans both parks. It is not hard at all to get a Mickey Mouse autograph. But just because the autograph is super common doesn't mean that it's not a great number 1 seed autograph. Yeah. I mean, this is just a classic signature. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows it. It is, like so many of our number 1 seeds on these brackets, iconic. Mm-hmm. It's pretty simple. You've got kind of a almost scribbled sketch looking Mickey Mouse with usually like a little swirl or a squiggle on the bottom to kind of give it a little accent. But the I guess handwriting is somewhat similar to like Disney script.
Yes.
The way that he dots the I tends to kind of be a little bit like a loop instead of like a dot. So that kind of gives it a little bit of a, I don't know, regal feel to it, as if meeting Mickey Mouse wasn't regal enough as it is. I don't know. I said this in our weirdest Disney characters bracket. There is something about meeting Mickey Mouse that I really appreciate. He's costumes are always kept in pristine condition, just like most of the other ones are as well. But when you go into that room and you see the Mick, it's like seeing it's like seeing someone important. And when he's doing autographs, he holds himself very kind of like professionally as well.
Yeah.
A lot of these characters, when they sign, they'll like get down on their knee, or they'll do like a fake out where they put the autograph book, like you were saying, up on their head to make it look like they're signing at their eye level, or they'll kind of squat or something. Mickey Mouse, he looks like a real person when he's signing his autograph. It's like he has it like right just a little bit below the mouth level, held out kind of 3/4 of an arm's length, and just like very casually kind of signing it. His shoulders like very like held upright, and it's just getting that Mickey autograph. Like I said, it's a very regal experience, and I'm a fan of it. Big fan. On the other hand, you got Pluto. Pluto's Mickey's dog.
Yep.
And much like Mickey, it is very common to find Pluto. Pluto is a 5 out of 5 most common autograph in the Disney parks. He's found often on Main Street at Disneyland, as well as back in Toontown. I mean, I guess we could talk about like where he is in all of the Disney parks, but we're a pretty Disneyland biased podcast, so we can kind of keep it. We can kind of keep it there.
Yeah.
So his autograph is definitely a little bit less professional looking. It's a little bit more scribbled, a little bit more like a dog might sign their name.
Yep.
The little like, I don't know, is it a tail on the P? The long part that goes up and down?
Yeah, I read it as a tail.
Whatever it is, it's like it extends like way past how a normal P would where a normal P would stop. But then the defining feature of the Pluto autograph is, instead of a regular O, it is a paw print.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, if you think about it one way, it makes a lot of sense for this character to have a paw print as the last letter of his signature. But on the other hand, it's like, it also doesn't make sense because you're already writing all of your other letters completely normal. So like, why did you? Mm-hmm. It would make sense if he stamped it. He stamped it with like his actual paw instead of but like he just drew. I mean, that happens with a lot of characters on this bracket. For Pluto, though, it's a little bit less convincing. You know, like I don't see Pluto as someone who has a little flair for like pageantry. You know, so he's gonna just real cheeky make his paw print. There's some other characters we'll talk about how they kind of like transform their letters into other shapes, and it makes a little bit more sense for them. But for Pluto, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Pluto is one of those characters that when he signs, he puts the autograph book on his nose.
Yeah.
Like you said, Kyle, just so impressive that someone can like do that accurately hundreds of times in an hour. Not hundreds of times, probably like dozens of times in an hour.
Yep.
And make it hit the same every single time. It's got to be a lot of practice. I've noticed it in reviewing footage of a lot of these characters, they are left-handed. And I don't know if that's just a coincidence or if they recommend that you teach yourself how to sign Disney signatures left-handed so that it's like you're developing a whole new muscle memory.
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. So you're as if you're like learning a motion as opposed to like writing something in your own handwriting.
Right.
That's very interesting. In fact, I remember, as we worked in baseball, our mascot would have to practice the signature because they try and keep the signatures as uniform as possible from the person before them and whoever is that full-time mascot. And so there was a day where they were just signing, trying to make it just muscle memory. Because then once you're in that suit, you got to just kind of remember, right? Because you're not seeing a whole lot.
So interesting observation, general observation for all characters, not just Pluto. Man, I'm sure the Pluto costume is so annoying because kids are like almost eye level with that mouth, and that tongue is extending out right into like where they can reach. So anytime Pluto is like in a crowd, he is just getting grabbed.
Yep.
And getting accosted by children, and it just seems very frustrating and annoying. And of course, like the performer's face is in there, so like if you look hard enough, you might see some eyes staring back at you.
Oh God.
I hate that.
For me, in the first round, I'm going with the easy one. I'm going with the Mick. I think his autograph is better. I think meeting him is a more enjoyable experience. I think the idea of him signing makes a whole lot of sense for the character as well. He is the Mick. So yeah, it's the easy one for me.
Yep, I'm going to go Mickey Mouse as well. I think that Pluto's it's definitely difficult to sign in a suit like that. I don't think that Pluto should be signing these as a human being with holding a pen. And then the point that you brought up with the paw print as the O at the end, which is really just drawing 3 circles above it. I'd almost prefer if they just like implanted a like pad stamp in his like paw, and then like the holder would then like shake his hand, like thank you so much for meeting that kid sort of thing, so that the next kid that comes up, he just stamps the autograph book, then actually write it out. Go ahead, Disney, you can use it. You feel free to hire me. I can give you all these ideas. I know you're listening. But it just is kind of, it looks like a 3-year-old wrote out Pluto. And I like Mickey's. Mickey's feels Disneyland. You said he's regal. It's definitely like the branded signature with the little squirrely O above, squirrely circle above the I as the dot. Very reminiscent of like the Walt Disney Pictures signature, which isn't Walt's signature, but it's the font that they use for the company. So it kind of ties in as like, this is our guy. Like this guy's Disney. So I like that better than Pluto. Taylor, Mickey's moving on. Do you agree?
Yes. Let's go.
All right. So
I want to follow up on children accosting characters, because this is another thing I noticed, is that it is particularly in the Pluto costume when the performer is basically staring down this tunnel. It's like he literally has tunnel vision.
Yeah,
it's a complication for all costume characters.
Yes,
people will hand them the autograph book, and they like won't be able to see it in their peripheral. And even sometimes like they'll get handed a pen and they like won't.
They can't.
They like
grab
won't
it.
be. They won't be able to grab it, so they have to like just hold their hand out for it to be placed in there.
Yep.
It just seems like a really difficult experience.
Yeah, I don't know that this would be. I mean, unless like my whole thing is that I enjoy acting that much that I'm willing to kind of put up with the autograph portion of this gig, but I don't know that I would want to be a complete costumed character at the parks.
It's you're a giant puppet. You're essentially operating a giant puppet. So like
It's got to be difficult.
it takes some body coordination, you know?
If you are one of the, and somebody reached out to us on Twitter who was like a friend of a friend who worked at Disneyland. And I don't remember if you told us that you were a character, but if you have any insight, we would love to hear from you. mousemadnesspodcast@gmail.com. All right, let's move on to the next matchup. It is the one that Taylor's been waiting for. It is the number 8 Minnie Mouse versus number 9 Woody. I'm going to go ahead and start with Woody. So, difficulty level, 1,000. This Woody costume seems impossible.
Yeah.
It does not make any sense. Like, basically, if you're looking at this costume, if the person in it is as tall as I think they are, then their head and their eyes are looking out of Woody's mouth. And if that's the case, then there's another close to 2 feet of head on top of that head, right? Like, Woody's head is massive.
I think something I remember in my little audition was like a very tall guy, and he was like, "Yeah, I've been Woody before, and I've been Mike."
Was that?
I almost said
Sully.
Mike's. Yeah, I almost said Mike Sully. I'm like, who's Mike Sully? He's been James P. Sullivan.
Imagine that he was really tall guy. He's been Woody, and then he's been Mike Wazowski.
Yeah, that's range.
Well,
That is range.
Isn't Mike Sully that meme where like his it's like a face swap?
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Anyways,
it's like Renesmee. It's
Your
their
friend.
kid.
Yeah. Or my second point is that this is a normal sized person that is wearing one of those rigs that sits on your shoulders. So I imagine like Hades is wearing this in the Hades costume, where the shoulders are like you have this rig and the face is actually through the bandana, which is why Woody has the bandana in this, so that they can look through a mesh, and their arms are really close to them, and they sign everything right here, and that's how they can look. I didn't look into the costuming of it, but regardless, you either have an entire costume on your shoulders or you're looking through the mouth of Woody and you're top heavy no matter what.
It's got to be the mouth. I mean, and just looking at this picture, like,
yeah,
you can kind of like estimate that it's like mouth, because the arms are real person arms. They're not
real
weird.
Arms.
They're not weird extender arms.
Real person arms. So Woody can be found at California, really either at the area next to Big Thunder, like where Rancho Zocalo's like little patio is, or in some sort of Pixar-esque way over at DCA. Usually it was like within the parade. I don't know that there was necessarily a meet and greet with him over at DCA, unless it was for like Pixar Fest, which I didn't attend.
I think like around Midway Mania for a while.
I think you can find him at actually, now that you bring that up, at the Pixar Promenade, where the little symphony thing plays. I think that's also a stage for him as a meet and greet, if I remember correctly. Funny story about that. I do remember correctly because we were walking by that one time. I was working for the A's, and the A's were in Anaheim, and it just happened to be that I was also at Disneyland at the same time. And I ran into Marcus Simeon and his family meeting Woody outside of the promenade. So you're completely correct. That's where he would be.
That's good content, man.
That is good content. I should have captured that thing. Look at Marcus at Disneyland. Future home run leader at second base in American League history.
Future San Francisco Giant, too.
Well, let's relax. So Woody's signature is Woody, all in capital letters. And something that I'm going to continue to bring up is flair. I love a little flair in my autograph. Pluto's paw print, that was flair. It was poorly done, but that was some flair. Mickey doesn't really have any flair except for the squiggly at the bottom. I'll consider that flair, but that's a 1 out of 5 flair. Woody's is that his Y loops back around, like as if you're writing a cursive Y, and as you're coming back up to that initial U shape, above him, lasso.
Perfect.
Above the name is a lasso, dude. It is so good. It is exactly what Woody should be signing as a cowboy sheriff. And incorporating it as the Y so that he can just continue with it. It adds also that motion of like flair from him. So he's like, W-O-O-D. Oh no, here we go, baby. There's the Y. Very good. Very flamboyant. I love it. I think that is a great, subtle way of writing this autograph, other than just writing it out from somebody who's in this big costume. Up against Minnie Mouse at the 8 seed. And Minnie's is wonderful because Minnie's is it feels very personal. It feels like this is a signature that like your grandma or like somebody, a loved one signed for you at the end of like a letter. It's very authentic to like Minnie, who is this very warm character, kind of the balance to Mickey. Chris, especially in the Mickey that you like, which is that kind of like Mickey doing his best, the everyday man, the one that is just always trying to do great. And Minnie's also trying to do that for him, makes them the kind of everyday people. The signature feels very everyday. Minnie signs both eyes with a heart above them. And then she ends everything with XOXO. She also often will begin her signature with love. Love, Minnie Mouse, XOXO. It is just really like that personal touch of, I won't call it magic, but it's that kind of like that lovely experience that you want to get when you go to these parks, that you feel like you're being treated special, even though she's obviously signing this for everybody. But like for that character to have to sign that over and over again in the mask, it's definitely muscle memory, but it feels super authentic, not only to Minnie, but to the experience that you would have if you met somebody that you feel like you've known because you've seen them on the screen for your entire life. I really enjoy that about Minnie's autograph. So when they're going head to head with the lassoing Woody and with the really authentic Minnie Mouse, I'm gonna lean to the authenticity. I'm gonna lean towards that heart, that kind of warmth that you get from this character. I'm going to go with Minnie Mouse.
Kyle, I mean, you basically covered everything that I wanted to cover, particularly with just that very personal aspect of Minnie's Minnie's autograph, like a yearbook.
Yeah,
Minnie most likely to write hags on your autograph book.
1000%.
Another one that's just very commonly obtained in the Disney parks. Woody, same thing. I don't know, but the way you were describing Woody really resonated with me. And the way that he signs and that kind of like flick of the wrist motion of the W to the O's to the D's and then with the Y at the end.
Yeah, that was a good one. Shoot. Good. Ooh, hey, that wasn't a sound effect, everybody. That was out of Chris's mouth. Wow.
I think this is an example of beauty in the simplicity with Woody, where you just need that one thing that seems like such a small addition to this signature, but makes it so unique and on point, in character, all at the same time. That's that lasso. I just love it. And if I remember correctly, the way that he signs, he does kind of like a full arm extension.
Yep.
And he almost looks kind of like an artist with a little easel when he's doing the signatures. I'm going with Woody. I'm hyped on, like I said, I'm hyped on the way you described it, you know?
Okay.
And I don't mind seeing Taylor squirm a little bit. She's going to have to break the tie here.
I'm stressed. Oh, gosh. Okay, you guys. This was my top matchup because you look at Minnie Mouse's and you literally feel love. And then you look at Woody's and that is the coolest signature. I'm like, oh. So one of the ways I decided that I was going to break the ties was by using graphology. Graphology is something that I was introduced to at my last job because one of the older nurses was looking at the patient documents and was describing personality traits of the patients based on how they signed the documents. So graphology is the science that determines the link between character traits and a handwritten signature. So I wanted to say, like, which signature is most authentic to the character?
Okay.
So, gosh, this is so hard because they both rank like very high on authenticity for me. Oh my gosh, I'm stressed. Oh man. And Minnie Mouse is like and Woody, they're both two of my favorite characters, but I think I have to go with the upset and give it to Woody. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. Oh my gosh.
Somebody's poisoned the water hole in Toontown.
Here's also something that, Taylor, you just brought up with Minnie's signature that I really enjoyed, even though she's getting booted off, is that sense of like actual love and warmth. And it almost looks like a note that would accompany the pie she makes in that one Mickey short where she puts on the windowsill. Like it feels like she like made that and then like signed it real quick to put it with it. It's that warmth. It's that home feel. It's really nice. But hey, I can't be mad. I was hype on Woody too.
A very giving character, but I will say that from the samples we were given, they're each very different. It just kind of looks like my own signature. So Woody's moving on.
All right, let's hop to the next matchup. It's number 4, Cinderella versus number 13, Jafar. Jafar, shout out to Jafar. He was on our weirdest Disney parks character costume bracket, if I remember correctly. And it's a pretty weird costume. But let's slow down. Let's hop back to Cinderella. We got our first face character here, people.
Yes, we do. Finally.
It takes a lot of patience to be inside of a costumed character and have kids pulling on you and, not really sure where your face is and yanking things that they don't realize might hurt you. I'm sure that that's just a test in someone's patience, being inside a Pluto or a Tigger or something. But the face character is on the front lines. This person has to keep composure 110% of the time.
Yep.
You could be inside of a Tigger and be like underneath that mask, be like,
yeah.
But when you're a Disney princess, you have to keep that smile all the time.
And I brought this up in one of the other episodes. You also have to do it with dealing with weird adults.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is why Jessica Rabbit was a masked character, was because she's so obviously sexualized that they're like, okay, we're going to get the dads. And that's not going to be good. It's not going to be good.
It's definitely very cringy to watch adults interacting with the princesses in a way that's clearly kind of creepy.
Yep.
On the other hand, seeing a princess interact with a child that clearly idolizes that princess is perhaps the greatest interaction of all character interactions.
Totally.
Seeing videos of little boys and girls dressed up, meeting the character that they are dressed as, it will melt even the most frozen of hearts. So we get that with Cinderella. Cinderella is located in the officially sanctioned princess meet and greet area in Fantasyland. She's also in Ariel's grotto at DCA. And she has a pretty good signature. She often puts a love, comma, before she signs, and the C, it's basically like a big C, and then the Inderella is like cursive on top of the bottom of the C.
Right.
Basically,
it
like
swoops.
imagine a Cubs logo, but instead of Cubs, it's Inderella. And then sometimes, not all the time, she'll add a little bit of like pixie dust flair to the signature, and that goes with her character because she gets bibbity bobbity booped straight to upper class.
It's so great. It's so great.
I don't want to make such like a sweeping claim, but I would say the Cinderella signature might be the best in terms of like penmanship and like definitely not like artistry, but just like, wow, I would really like this person to like write my wedding invitations.
Right. And the French one is good. So like in the things that we're looking at, they often will include signatures from the characters at the foreign parks, and the Disneyland Paris one shows up a ton, and we'll see. I bring up some of that later on, but anytime, I'm going to be so biased with a lot of these like choices, because anytime they can add a little of that, like that sparkle, that mid-century, like little, I don't even know how, I can't even describe it, but you would know what I'm saying. It's literally the sparkle emoji that we have now in written form. It matches so well with so many of the characters and really adds that flair. I really like that. So the French one is fantastic.
And just to boot, this character is oftentimes being accosted with questions and like banter, and they're having to do these like very ornate princess signatures on top of like answering questions in this very like proper way. It's just very impressive. Very, very impressive. Cinderella's going up against Jafar, the number 13 seed. And Jafar has a super weird costume. Look it up if you've never seen it. Basically, he has his whole like chin, from like his nose to his chin, is all foam, and the actor's peeking through the foam. One of those ones where you're like, how is this not a face character? Just make the transition already. But for having such a weird costume, Jafar's signature is dope.
Yeah.
So dope. So basically, Jafar does a cursive J and a cursive afar, but adds one extra hump on the beginning of the J and turns it into a cobra with a tongue and eyes and a hood.
Yep.
Which, if y'all seen Aladdin, Jafar turns into a cobra at the end of it.
And his staff has...
Spoilers
and
for
his
Aladdin,
staff,
a movie we hate on this podcast.
His staff the entire time. It's just part of his hat is very Cobra-ish. Like, there's a lot that's going on with Jafar.
I mean, this is one of those ones where you got that little doodle that kind of gives it that extra dimension. On the other hand, though, if we're going with like Taylor's graphology criteria, like if you met a real Jafar and were like, sign this, please, I don't think he'd be out here like doodling snakes on where he's supposed to sign his name. You know? I think I really want to give it to Jafar here because I think that snake illustration is one of the better bonus illustrations you get on this bracket. I think I'm going to lean Cinderella on it though, just because of the ornateness of it being elite level. And I think the Jafar meet and greet itself is probably just in general not as fun as a princess meet and greet. So I'm going with her.
Yep, I'm going to agree with you. It's definitely Cindy to the next round here. I like Jafar's, but as we see in the example that we will provide to you all in the show notes, It's not consistent.
Yeah.
He's not consistently doing
True.
it. It doesn't look as good as the actual, the everycharacter.com example that you have at the top of this slide. At the bottom, the snake looks scary. It's a little wide. It's obviously somebody in a mask that has to do it. And then if they don't want to do it, they sign it very similarly to like a Mickey, where it's like Jafar spelled out in all caps with a little squiggle at the bottom of it to add a little flair. So I like it. I like the idea. I like the concept. But Cinderella's is classic, and I'll talk more about it next time. Taylor, do you agree with this pick?
Yes, I agree with the pick. Yeah, you have to be consistent. This is your job if you're a character, and you should be practicing. And if they give you a sample, it should match that perfectly, or else. That's what I say.
Or else. You heard it here first from the new magic key holder. She's going to storm the gates and punish you if she gets an inconsistent autograph.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this next matchup, because there's some stuff to talk about with these two. It's number 5, Ariel, versus number 12, Belle. I want to start with Belle. What the hell is Belle's autograph?
Dude, it was like someone thought of the flair and then was like, okay, do it, but do it like 4 more times.
So Belle's is written in like a cursive with a large B that the like backbone of the B kind of flares out as like an S. If I can even describe that correctly, you'll have to look at it to really get the feel of it.
It feels like a French, like a sign on a French hotel.
Which makes sense, right? Because this is a French story. And the E, instead of, Woody, right? The Y whips back and then comes over it, and it's one smooth motion. The E stops, juts back towards the B, and then it's just a twister of lines under it.
I think it's supposed to be like lace, like a shoelace, or like a lacing.
A shoelace
of some kind, which doesn't make a lot of sense for Belle, but that was my individual interpretation of it.
Did you watch a video of Belle signing this?
Yeah, but it didn't like show her. It was like a Disney adult like being like, oh, Belle, like, no, the beast, and she's like, like signing.
Okay. So here's, if I were to make up a reason why the switchback happens at the bottom of her name. So in the movie, the big climactic scene is her and the beast dancing, and they're kind of swaying back and forth. So if this is kind of one of these kind of rocking back and forth motions, as if it's invoking kind of that dance, sure, that's a stretch of an idea, but I need to justify why the hell this is happening on this name. So sometimes Belle signs with a rose at the end, which is also weird because like the rose is like the sign of death for the beast. If that petal falls off in the movie, he's like done. He's donezo. But she loves it. Also, like her dad was like, I don't know. Her dad clipped a rose for her. That's how he got. This whole rose thing. Whatever. Who cares? Belle's signature is not good. Ariel's signature is also not good.
I got when you were talking about the rose, I think petals falling.
So that's exactly what that is. That's exactly what that is. So that swaying back and forth that I thought may have been invoking dance is really invoking the fall of a petal.
Gosh, this is morbid.
But there's also like there's some artistic interpretation in the signature here. We started with shoelaces. We went into like dance steps, and we're into falling rose petals. Like this is a conversation piece.
Yeah,
the signature.
That's super interesting. Like I said, if anybody's listening and has some insight onto this, I'd love to know what that is, because that rose petal thing is really, I'm kind of sold on that. Regardless, let's go to Ariel's. help me decipher this one. We have Ariel's name written, large A, and the A continues to kind of swoop around. I'm guessing that's invoking the swimming habits of like a, you can kind of make these sporadic tight turns as you're swimming with like a fin, I guess, if I had to say. I can't really tell what the pattern is. I couldn't even tell you what this looks like. You just have to see it for yourself. The A swims around the page, and then Ariel is written above the swirl. And then around the name itself are a bunch of circles that are supposed to invoke bubbles because Ariel is under the sea. So, fine. Circles are lazy and they're kind of dumb. I don't like how they look on these signatures, really. I think that I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like either of these at all. Mostly because Ariel's seems really hard to nail down. We see two examples and they look completely different. I'm sure that if you're meeting Ariel and you get the bubble treatment, it's gonna either be skimpy like the one on the right that we're looking at, or it's gonna be pretty full like the one on the left, depending on who you are. But
the one on the left looks like it has chicken pox. Like there's like big uniform circles.
Yeah. I think drawing bubbles is difficult if they're all the same size. Like it's then just turns into you just drawing circles around on a page.
And like underwater, aren't bubbles kind of like jellyfish like looking, where they're kind of like they look like a contact lens? They're not like perfectly
circle. Right? Yeah, totally. So in this matchup, I don't like either of these really, but I think that we opened a part of my brain with that rose discussion. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on Belle. It's going to be reluctant. It's going to be an upset, but I'm going to go ahead and do it.
You did not mention at the bottom of Ariel's autograph is kind of another little like flourish. And I think it's supposed to be a ribbon or a bow of some kind. And she wears a bow when she's out of the sea.
Yeah. The one on the right has a bow-like tendency, but the one on the left, I couldn't find a disconnect in the line just from the A. It feels like it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like the line just keeps going into that bow, which makes it look not like a bow.
Yeah, I think I agree with your analysis of both of these. I am going to go with Ariel though, because I like the A, the ornate A that looks kind of like a star to me. Why that would make sense for Ariel, I don't know. But the Belle script is just a little basic for me. So I'm going with Ariel. So Tay is breaking another tie.
Yes. This one I'm ready for because I've been looking at this A in Ariel and I think I know what it is. Okay. On the right signature, it looks like her fins. The A, and then the bottom two fins. Oh. Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
The thing at the bottom, I remember doing that in 3rd grade. That's so whatever. But, okay, according to graphology, the more highly stylized your letters are, the more boastful and possibly insincere you are. So both these girls are fake. So for this tie break, I have to go to my sister Morgan. She's my Disney buddy. We go all the time together. And she looked at these two and she said, wow, Belle's is dumb. And I have to agree. You know what? I like the rose. I think even that little back and forth thing could be like frosting on the gray stuff or something like that. Okay. Or the lacing of the corset. I don't think a shoelace, but maybe the corset. But I have to go with Ariel on this one because, I really like the bubbles. It reminds me of learning to swim. And then I really think it's supposed to be maybe like her fins or the swimming motion. But I think I have to go with Ariel.
All right. Awesome. Ariel advances. So let's hop over to the other side of the bracket where we have number 2, Tinkerbell versus number 15, Robin Hood. We have two totally different characters in terms of rarity of acquiring the signature. Tinkerbell is posted up at Pixie Hollow at Disneyland Park like all the time.
Yeah.
And she's in the Town Square Theater in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, meets in Fantasyland at Hong Kong Disney World. She is all over the place. If there's one thing I really appreciate about like my opinions changing in doing this podcast, it's that my appreciation for Tinkerbell has gone from like 0 to 10.
Okay.
I'm a big Tink fan.
Okay.
Particularly because she's featured prominently in Light Magic, as are the rest of her fairy friends. But I digress. She also hates Peter Pan just like I do.
Sure.
She's very sassy.
Same.
She got personality. Okay, so see, Taylor knows. But Tinkerbell is another one of these. I think we talked about this in Best Sidekicks. Sexualized in a way that is very odd for someone who is like 4 inches tall.
Yep.
But the way she is animated in Peter Pan is at times obviously like a little bit suggestive.
Yeah. It's the scene at the very beginning where she's measuring her hips, and then it's the scene at Captain Hook's thing where she's like walking across the map and she's kind of like strutting. Almost.
She also gets spanked at one point, which
yeah.
Yeah. So Tink, very easy signature to acquire. Pixie Hollow, relatively new addition to like that in between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland area. The Pixies franchise, they went seemingly all in on that, and then I don't think it panned out like they thought it would. Admittedly, I have not seen any of the Pixie movies besides Peter Pan, so maybe I should look into that this off season. Who knows? But
sure.
Tinkerbell, little flair to her autograph. She's got a lot of those stars that you were talking about, Kyle. They kind of feel like mid-century type stars that you see at like a bowling alley sign. There's some little dots. They're not circles. They're like little dots. Definitely feels like there's pixie dust involved in the signature.
Yes.
The actual autograph itself is somewhere in between normal print and cursive. It's definitely not cursive. It's like lazy printing, which I dig it. It's unique, you know? It's not as like regal as like a princess, but it still seems like it has an artistic touch enough that it's someone who inspires creativity. And like fairies are the epitome of that,
totally.
You know? Tink's going up against Robin Hood. Every time we talk about Robin Hood, we gotta give a shout out to Callie because she loves Robin Hood. But unlike Tinkerbell being super common in the Disney parks, Robin Hood is near impossible to find. He cannot be met, according to Character Central, in the US, Paris, or Hong Kong. He appears at Tokyo fairly often. So if you want to meet Robin Hood at Disney Park, go to Tokyo.
Apparently.
He'll be out and about. So Robin Hood, his signature is pretty dope. The text is like written like it's carved into a tree, which makes sense because Robin lives in the forest.
Yeah.
The hood, the HOOD, the second O is a target, is an archery target, and then he draws an arrow that creates the cross section of the H and is hitting the second O in a bullseye.
Right. Yep.
Super cool. And then up top, you've got the Robin, which at first glance looks really normal, but the R is a bow.
Ah.
That might be a liberal interpretation, but it looks like
it's closer to like your carving theory than it is a bow.
Could be a little bit of both. This is art. It is open to interpretation. So anyway, super cool signature. Probably a little bit more fancy than actual Robin Hood would sign his name on like a document. But I want to shout out that the French version of his autograph is Robin Desbois.
Yeah.
But in English, it looks like it says Des Boys.
Yeah.
Robin Des Boys.
But Desbois in French means woodland. So I don't know what the hood means in Robin Hood, but Robin of the Woods, basically, in French. I love Tinkerbell. I love advancing Tink on any bracket. I'm not really someone who's like the rarer the autograph, the better. It's almost like the more common the autograph, the better, because like, shouldn't everyone get to meet their favorite character if they want to? I think I'm going to go the opposite of that though with Robin Hood. I think the rarity makes it really cool just for this one. I like the Target thing. I like Robin Des Boys, and yeah, I'm into it. So I'm advancing Robin Hood in a little upset here.
I like Robin Hood's because of that flair. I like it because of the arrow. I interpret that R more as like a carving into a tree as opposed to maybe a bow. An arrow, I think that it looks like somebody who, lives life in the woods on the run and is carving things into what he has, and that's kind of what this looks like. But I'm gonna go Tinkerbell. I think that Tinkerbell's signature is very flighty. I think that it's very sporadic. I think that can describe how she acts and reacts. She's very much a hothead. She's very much her temperament can change really at any moment, and we see that throughout the film. And her signature itself feels very floaty. It's on a consistency level, gets a 0 out of 5. It looks like it kind of changes, but the same sentiment and that same energy is in each one, where it feels like she might be flying as she's writing this, or she is trying to invoke that feeling of flight. And then, of course, I told you already, I'm going to be biased towards those little sparkles. If you can add that little sparkle flair, I'm going to love it. So I'm going Tinkerbell, which means that Taylor is breaking a tie.
Wow. This is like hard work, you guys. You don't understand. Anywho. I like that Chris touched on a point I learned in my ethics class many, many moons ago. And it was like, if you cannot will something as universal, then it's not ethical. And I feel like because Robin Hood is more elusive, then his signature is unethical.
Okay. I was like, did I say that?
You said he was, he's hiding out in the woods.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
I got
Follow
you.
me.
I got you.
I don't like his signature that much.
Wow.
I know. I would like it if I saw it on a tree, but I don't know.
Turns out Robin Hood actually like carves his signature into something of yours.
Yeah, he whips out a little knife.
Give me your iPhone.
I would like that, sure. Tinkerbell,
Authentic.
oh my gosh. Just looking at her signature, I'm just in love. I think, according to graphology, I feel like if you look at her signature, you know exactly what type of person she is. And I love the little pixie dust dots. They're not circles, they're dots. And the stars. And I have to choose Tinkerbell to advance on. I'm sorry. And also, I will say, I think this website, no offense to this website that we're getting our stuff from, I think it's a little outdated because when I go to Disneyland, I think Pixie Hollow is closed. It's roped off.
Huh.
And then Ariel's Grotto, isn't that the old restaurant in DCA that's now Lamplight Lounge? So isn't that
so she's not hanging out over there anymore.
out too? So this website, no offense to you, but you got to get on your game.
Update it.
Yeah, come on.
Update it. All right. Tinkerbell's going to move on. Let's go on to this next matchup. It is the number 7, Donald Duck, versus the number 10, Peter Pan. This is a battle of messy signatures here. Donald Duck's is another one that's not super consistent, but also kind of consistent. It might be very flat at some points. It might be a little bit more rounded at others. It has that sweeping D on both Donald and Duck that is very reminiscent of the Disney logo a little bit, but not quite there. And then Donald and Uck are all in cursive. But the flair, the thing that Donald adds is that he puts a number 1 at the bottom. And this is very characteristic of Donald. I mean, from the beginning of time, he's always trying to upstage Mickey. He's always jealous of Mickey or anything that has taken the limelight from him. Think about the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse March. Like, he tries to insert himself into that song. Think about the band concert. He is constantly trying to take over Mickey's band by performing a flute and derailing the entire show. He wants to be number 1 so bad. This is also a fully costumed character. So ease of writing, it's there. I mean, all they have to do is write Donald Duck in cursive, basically. And as you can see, depending on who's in that costume, it's going to vary a little bit. But I like the rushedness of the autograph. I like how quick it looks because Donald is quick to make decisions. He is quick to change temperament, much like Tinkerbell. So I think that is a very solid autograph. Peter Pan's is interesting because you either veer towards Robin Hood or you veer towards Tinkerbell. It feels like he's in a matchup against himself from the previous one.
There's one in here that's so low effort, though. It's like,
there's
the person just skipped the day they were supposed to learn the autograph.
Yep, and just wrote Peter Pan. That's all they did for that one. And yes, that you are definitely correct. Other ones, like the P is always taking over the autograph. It's one big swooping backward C with a line kind of through it. Sometimes he'll draw a feather as the cross of the T, like the feather from his hat. Sometimes he'll add the little stars, the little sparkles that like Tinkerbell and Cinderella add. His best autograph, in my opinion, is when he does keep it with the big sweeping P's, uppercase with the stars on it. It feels very authentic to him. That's very much a theme of that film. Second star to the right, pixie dust, like that all just kind of makes sense to him. But there's just no consistent look other than that big sweeping P. And that's why I'm going to go with Donald Duck. Because Donald Duck just feels a lot more authentic. It's a costumed character that is writing it. And you have a face character that they just have not figured out how they want this name to be written now. I don't like that. Peter Pan sucks anyways. I'm going Donald Duck.
I'm 100% with you on the inconsistency thing. I think the feather thing is like a cool idea for a little like very aggressive element of flair, but like these signatures are all over the place. There's like 7 of them and they all look different. Yeah. The Donald Duck ones, we've got 4 and 3 of them could be written by the same person. It is right. So good. And every single one has the exact same flair. Number 1. Some of these, like, you know, the performer might leave out the flair. Like, it seems like that number 1 is like canon. You got to put, that's part of the signature. That's totally not optional. And like you said, that's great for Donald Duck. Love it. Advancing him here over Peter Pan. No problem. Taylor, do you agree?
I agree because Donald Duck told me, he said number 1, and I'm going to start adding a number 1 after my signature because that's how I truly feel. But I think Donald, honestly, like his temperament, it should be a little bit more scribbly. Like the third one in is a little too round. Round means you're a little bit more genial. Like, I don't even know if I said that right, but nice. I think it needs to be more like, you know, scribbly, kind of like my dad's signature. But anywho, I will advance Donald on.
All right, easy. So let's hop down to the next matchup. It's number 3, Chippendale versus number 14, Stitch. We've got a combo. We got a combo pack, 2 for the price of 1 with Chippendale. Yep. And that's only because they normally come as one. Normally when they're out and about doing meet and greets and stuff, it's not just Chip or just Dale. They come as a pair. And that is what I love about Chip and Dale. They work as a team. So some places that you can find Chip and Dale, you can find them at Walt Disney World near Grand Avenue at the Hollywood Studios, Dinoland USA at Animal Kingdom in their little Chip and Dale safari outfits. In California, you can find them in Town Square, Toontown, or near Grizzly Peak. So if y'all like want to kill some time ever, watch some Chip and Dale meet and greets on YouTube because they are never not hilarious. I saw one. I mean, I saw tons of them, but one of them, they were at some type of character breakfast, don't know where, but they were like fighting over a pen that someone had given one of them to sign. And I don't know if they broke the pen or like it was just like the cap, but they were like throwing this pen like around the restaurant at each other. They were like playing like, take away with it. It was so funny. And this all goes into that autograph. Right. Another, just like non-autograph meet and greet. It was, I need to link this to one or both of you, but it was someone like backstage dressing up as Jafar, going out into Hollywood studios, and they like filmed the actor like describing how he's putting on the costume. They filmed him like walking out on stage, and then while he was on stage, and at some point he like met up with a Chip, and they were like in the middle of the street, and like Jafar like kind of like put his staff out, and then Chip like pretended that he died, and then like came back as a zombie and started like walking around like zombified. Just so like wholesome Disney entertainment. Totally. That's just Chip and Dale. And so I love them. I do too. And their signatures are very fun, but much like Peter Pan, they can be a little bit inconsistent. Mm-hmm. So Chip's defining feature as a twin is his nose. Chip's nose looks like a chocolate chip, so it's black and a little bit pointier. And so when Chip signs his signature, sometimes beneath Chip, he'll draw a little nose and then a little mouth with some buck teeth. Right. Chip's teeth are together. So when, might be super common to hand your autograph book to Chip and then to Dale. Dale will sign it with his crazy eyes and his two front teeth that are a little bit more separated. Yep. And Dale uses the A and the E in his name to make little crazy eyes. Sometimes they'll do like acorns. I'm looking at one where Chip has dotted his eye as an acorn. It looks kind of like maybe a 1-off or a 2-off like signature. It looks like there's one where like there's a random heart.
I know.
There's one where there's like leaves.
Yeah, so much like Peter Pan, these are kind of all over the place, but Chip and Dale are also kind of all over the place. So it sort of makes sense. Going up against another crazy guy. It's Stitch. Yeah. Stitch's signature, I was on the Disney Reddit. I wasn't like on the Disney Reddit, but I was on my own Reddit, and this came up in like my Reddit feed. Disney parks. And it was someone who was like, whose signature is this? Don't know who it is. And everyone was like, first of all, flip it upside down. Second of all, now it's Stitch. So apparently the Stitch had like taken the book, flipped it upside down, and then written the signature. And like the Stitch signature is super not legible. No. It's just very alien. It's literally alien. It's like someone who doesn't fully know the letters of the English alphabet. Yep. So super in character. I mentioned this is unrelated to the signature, but like Stitch, the Stitch costume is like the opposite of Stitch in the movie. In the movie, Stitch is a tiny dog-like creature with a big head. In real life, Stitch is a normal-sized being with a proportionally sized head. And if like Lilo and Stitch are ever at a meet and greet in the Disney parks, they're like the same size. Right. When like they're both pretty small in the movie, but like Stitch is still smaller than Lilo is. Don't like that. Apparently Stitch is becoming more and more rare at Disneyland. I remember seeing him at California Adventure near Tower of Terror in like the mid 2010s. But I guess he's kind of like becoming a little bit less relevant as a character in California. At Disney World, he still, I guess, has, or until recently had, the Stitch's Escape attraction.
Yeah.
So he pops up in Tomorrowland a lot.
He's at Disneyland and Tomorrowland a lot these days. He's at the the old Innoventions building. He stands out on the ramp up to it, since there's social distance like meet and greets. And then I met him at DCA. It must have been like 2015 as part of like an AP visit. Like it was one of those things where you go and then you don't know who you're gonna get at the character meet and greet off to the side. It was over on the other side of Monsters Inc. And it was Stitch, and it was really weird. He's a weird character to me.
I think definitely the Stitch autograph is more in character. I'm going to go with Chip and Dale, though. I'm going to go with the favorite here. I just think that whole meet and greet is a more enjoyable one. I just don't like Stitch that much. I'll take Roger Rabbit over Stitch any day. And I love all of the different variations on the Chip and Dale autographs.
You didn't even bring up the fact that Chip and Dale's names in French are tick and tack.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. It's just it's also just them, right? Like Chip and Dale is now like a duo that we recognize as a pair that goes together. Those names go together. Tick and tack as well, right? It's just so good. Tick and tack is boring as an autograph in France. It's really just written out as it is. But Chip and Dale's, they're really fun. I think that, the inconsistency does match their character. It's a little squirrely, even though they're chipmunks. And I like how playful they are with it. Every variation there's some sort of playfulness to it, whether it's Chip with the acorn as the eye, the dot of the eye, or the mouth down below his name, or even the leaves if you wanted to. And Dale, the consistency of the backwards E at the end of his name. Every single time, no matter what version you're looking at, the E is always going to be backwards because he is the dumber of the two. He would write it as a backwards E. But I also really, really like Stitch because he is an alien. He's writing in the form of this kind of almost alien-esque language that he has formed to English. It kind of looks Star Wars-esque a little bit if you can draw the parallel of like if you're walking through Star Tours, everything's in English, but it's written in a way that looks alien. Batuu. You go to Batuu and you look at the Ronto Roasters menu before they changed the names from Batuian or whatever it is to now English. Now they just write it in a style that looks like alien to somebody on Earth. And that's kind of what Stitch's looks like here. So this matchup is really difficult for me personally, but I think that the Chip and Dale is the better, more invoking of their characters. It feels a little bit more Disney Parks than Stitch. I also don't like the Stitch meet and greet. The one time I did it, I hated it. I'm going to go with Chip and Dale. Taylor, any issues with that?
I just have to say this for the people. I know there's so many people who love Stitch. I think that because he also goes by 626, the signature looks kind of more like a bunch of numbers. Like the S's look like fives. And that makes sense to me where as he's learning the alphabet, he puts it in a way he understands, which is the numbers. But I would also go with Chip and Dale. Sorry, Stitch.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. He does only know numbers because everyone around him has been named as numbers the entire time. Let's move on to this last matchup. It is the number 6 Mad Hatter versus number 11 Dr. Facilier. This is an easy advance for Dr. Facilier for me. This is Mad Hatter is turnt. He is wacky. And his signature does not evoke either of those things. His signature is very neat. It is written out as Mad Hatter. The H is a massive hat. This character has the literal shakes in the movie where he can't even hold a teacup still. That is not the energy that would write out this word, this autograph. Dr. Facilier is very it feels very slick and slimy. Everything is kind of elongated. It's all like together, and then he gives you the little flare of a skull, which is like on his hat. Friends on the other side, whole death, voodoo, that whole thing. It's an easy advance. Number 11, Dr. Facilier for me.
Battle of the Top Hats.
Big time.
What's interesting is like, and this was, I didn't mention this with Peter Pan, but I'll mention it with Mad Hatter. When Mad Hatter is out, he's not just like chilling, waiting for people to come up to him. Yeah, he's like walking around. He's playing Duck, Duck, Goose. He's like playing tag with Alice. He's fairly obnoxious. And I 100% like get what you're saying with Mad Hatter's probably like on some type of drug.
Exactly.
And he probably wouldn't have the type of like patience and coordination to nail this like super cool looking H that creates the Hatter is a giant hat, like you said. I'm very into it though.
Yeah, it looks great. I just don't think it fits him.
The Dr. Facilier, I don't know if it's just the examples that we got on this website, but like it looks like it's, I think like the template looks good, but in practice, I don't know that the performer hits it every time. I'm going with Mad Hatter. I like the H, the hat for the H, more than I like the skull. I get what you're saying though, and I do agree with it. I think it's a better signature. So Taylor's breaking our final tie.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Working overtime. Anywho. These are both two very great signatures. I love both these characters. I've seen Dr. Facilier at Oogie Boogie Bash, and he's great in person. He's so just big and interactive, but in a different way than Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter is a little more eccentric. But I realized when looking at Dr. Facilier's signatures that I like it better with the circles instead of the dots for the eyes. I feel like it makes it look more Disney on all signatures.
Sure.
So sorry to Kyle. He hates circles, apparently.
Anti-circle.
Anti-circle club. I could go either way with this. So unfortunately, I feel as though Chris's argument was a little bit stronger, so I'm going to have to go with Mad Hatter moving forward.
Wow.
Sorry.
You started this episode by explaining that you and I would probably be more Parks compatible than Chris and I, and yet almost every tie except for one, you've sided with Chris. I feel betrayed.
Oh my gosh.
It's not like anyone's keeping track or anything.
No, I don't have a tally going. No, that would be crazy. All right, well, that does it. That does it for this round of 16, and it was a good one. We were able to really dive in to all of these signatures, and our Elite 8 next time is going to look like the number 1 Mickey Mouse versus the number 9 Woody. Down the bracket, it's going to be the number 4 Cinderella versus the number 5 Ariel. Across the bracket, it's going to be the number 2 Tinkerbell versus the number 7 Donald Duck. And to round out the Elite 8, it's going to be the number 3 Chip and Dale versus the number 6 Mad Hatter. Taylor, even though you betrayed me almost every step of the way, we really appreciate you joining this episode and breaking these ties and adding your insight and all of your these knowledge of what is it? What did you say? Graphology? What are we doing over here? Graphology.
Yes.
Love it. Thank you for joining us.
And we got a lot of single digits left here.
Yeah.
I mean, entirely single digits left in our round of 8. So stay tuned. It's gonna be an interesting part 2 of this bracket.
There's only one upset. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9.
Wow. All right, folks. Well, you know how to reach us. You got something to say. I don't imagine you have anything to say about these autographs, but if you do, hit us up. Email us at mousemadnesspodcast@gmail.com or follow us on social media. Reach out to us. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Discord. All of those are linked in the description of this podcast. And don't forget to subscribe. Join our community on Patreon. Shout out to all our patrons out there.
Yep.
The crew is strong. Join us. We would love to have you. Till next time, folks. See ya real soon.